My 11th Circle presents Cricbuzz Live. Now, we've taken the covers off to start the show, but as far as where the match is happening in Cardiff, there are plenty of covers all around, plenty of cloud cover, as well as, of course, covers for the ground are close by. So we know it's going to be that kind of day in Wales, and it always means it should be a very interesting battle, particularly something for the quicker bowlers. We've got one quick bowler and a batsman, a wicket-keeper batsman in the studio. So let's go quickly to them and meet Zaheer Khan and Robbie Uthappa. I know I keep saying that wicket-keeper batsman, not that you've always been doing that, but you'd like to be referred to as that?
No, I prefer being referred to as a batsman who can actually keep from time to time.
Fair
required.
Fair enough, fair enough. I guess some Mohammad Shahzad probably likes to think of that, though he does keep a lot. But two teams yet to register a point, so that always makes for a spicier battle, doesn't it?
Absolutely, and if you look at the approaches also, and you look at the statement what the Sri Lankan captain had given just after the match, suggests that they were not really ready to be put under similar kind of condition again. And what you fear the most, usually you have to face that only. So that's something which so many times you've seen in cricket. So
that's what you're referring to.
Yeah, at times, in the field, when you're dropping catches, you hope that, hope the ball doesn't come to me, hope the ball doesn't come to me. Invariably, it comes to you and you again drop the catch. I think it's a similar kind of situation with the Sri Lankan team. They are looking for excuses outside of what is happening or outside of what is in their control. What you have to do, conditions you can't really do anything about. Whatever is being put out there, you have to deal with that. You have to find ways, and you have to put up runs on board. So today again batting first. What they have to focus on, rather than saying that here we go, it's tough condition, we don't want to play on these kind of conditions, we want to play on flat tracks, which we usually get in Sri Lanka, those kind of conditions they want here, but that's not going to happen. I mean, if you get those kind of conditions, it's a luxury, but if you're not getting those conditions, you have to be prepared. You have to find ways of approaching this game in a very positive manner. So now they have to shift from there and just look for some kind of inspiration somewhere there. The captain himself has played a decent inning in the previous match, so he would want to continue with that, and he would look for some support from the other end. If they get through this the initial phase of that seam movement around, as I've always been saying in these conditions, get through those 20 overs. Get through those 20 overs without losing, say, 2 wickets. If you are 2 down by 20 overs, it's fine. You've done a decent enough job. You can build from there. Don't look at what kind of runs are there on the board. Just play that phase out. If you get loose balls, put them away. And you'll easily score at 3.5, 4 runs per over. So you're talking about 80 runs in 20 overs, which is not bad. And just work from there, because on this kind of track, when the conditions are what we've seen so far, or cloudy conditions, nice green tinge on the wicket, that 260, 270 will be enough for you to win the match.
Did you notice also the passion in his voice when he said nice green tinge? He's almost wanting to take the jacket off and saying, I want to go and bowl there.
I don't think that's very true.
By the time I go there, that wicket will be dry.
But also to add to what Zach by saying, I think if it was a T20 game, there would be be justified for him to say that we need good flat tracks to bat on, or but having it being a one-day game, it has to have an even balance, and I don't mind it having a little bit of a tinge of grass on it, so it helps the bowlers. But like Zach Bhai said, if they can get off to a moderate start, they can bat 20 overs and lose maybe a wicket, maybe 2 wickets at the most, and have about 80 runs, they'll really put themselves in a great spot to kind of capitalize on the rest of the 30 overs. And wickets in hand will be a key for your team batting first on this kind of a track.
He talks about unfamiliar conditions, when teams travel to Sri Lanka, very hospitable, lovely part of the world, great beaches. But if you play a test match at the SSC and you're not a spin-friendly nation, you're in big trouble.
No, always. I mean, in Sri Lanka, at times when you play, the days are going to be very long, Especially when you have Mahela and Sangha batting there, putting that partnership, the days seem really, really long. So, but now, you're in England, in Cardiff, always going to be some sideways movement. People are going to look to pitch the ball up, look to get that, make advantage of that sideways movement on offer. you have to be just prepared, and you're playing your second game on this track, so that should help you prepare better. You've seen it with Pakistan that the similar kind of conditions they were put in, again better attack, but they find a way of dealing with what was coming at them. They expected what kind of planning was going to be there. So far, Sri Lanka, just by seeing and hearing what the talk has been, has not given me that kind of confidence to say that yes, they're prepared for this match.
Also, I think it's just a shift in mindset. Now, when someone like Zakbai goes to or has gone to Sri Lanka to play, he's always in that thing that, okay, it's a challenge for me. It's going to be hard for me on those tracks. So similarly, when they're in England, if the batsmen say it's going to be a challenge, but I'm going to stand up to this challenge, and really take the bull by its horns and say, okay, let me deal with this. What's the best way to approach this? And that's the kind of mindset that they should get into. But having listened to what they've been saying over the last couple of days, just gives you a feeling that they're not really all there mentally in their head for such a big tournament.
No better example than what Pakistan have done in this tournament so far. Yes, we've always talked about the fact that two different Pakistans could turn up, but I think in this case it was not just about that. On the first day they got blown away and they had to mentally prepare for it to come back the way they did yesterday against England, which was phenomenal. Sri Lanka, I think, should be looking at that game and saying, if they can do it, so can we. We've won the World Cup before, and maybe in very different conditions, but nonetheless we are a far better side than what we performed last time around. Let's have a quick look at the points table first, and then we'll check the lineups. As we said, these two teams, Afghanistan, Sri Lanka, at the bottom. South Africa have played a couple of games, slightly better net run rate despite those two losses. But
so one team is gonna get some points today, and they're gonna go ahead of India. So that means by the time India starts playing their first match, they're going to be at number 7.
Yeah.
So that's something which we're talking about, like, just going off topic to India at the moment.
Yeah.
But I think, when you're playing your first match and you're already starting from behind, that points table pressure is always going to be there going forward in the tournament. But nonetheless, I think for Sri Lanka and Afghanistan, they'll be happy that one of the teams will put points on the table.
yes, 7 is the big number for India. They will be at place number 7, playing on day number 7. To start off this particular World Cup.
It's a good number, huh, Gautam? It's a good number.
Yeah, I wonder if jersey number 7 is listening.
I'm sure he is.
Yeah. So, what about the teams? Between the two sides, there's just the one change. So, let's go to the side that has that one change. And there you can see Nuwan Pradeep. They wanted a little bit more pace. They got the old man out, Jeevan Mendes, back from the Hong Kong Sixes, back into the side. And they realize now they need a bit more spice. Nuwan Pradeep will provide that. If you look at that lineup on paper, Malinga, Lakmal, Udana, Pradeep, and a little bit of support from Thisara Pereira, in good conditions in Cardiff, it should help them. Of course, they won't be bowling first, but...
Yeah, absolutely. I think this bowling lineup will definitely be something that Sri Lanka are looking to in this game, especially in Cardiff, given how the conditions are. But I think right now their main concerns would be to tick that first box of making sure they play that first 15-20 overs well, not worrying too much about the scores and maybe 3 or 4 runs and over. But I think that would be their first concern, to tick that box first and say, okay, get off to a good start. And a good start in Cardiff would be in 20 overs about 80 for 1 or 2, for sure.
And the other box they'll want to have ticked even before that is don't look at the history. Because everyone reminds you of history, and the one history they won't want to remember is that Sri Lanka have played 5 ODIs at Sophia Gardens in Cardiff, and they have won none. So they'll want to forget about that. Never mind the opposition. This time it's different. They're playing Afghanistan, of course, a resurgent nation, one of the great stories in world cricket. They'll need to just focus on their own strengths. Just like all of you need to focus on your strengths when you're picking your My 11 Circle team. And very simply log on to the website, download the app and look for that familiar figure. Because once you pick your team, it's not just about what your team does, it's what Dada's team does. And hashtag Dada Kavada is, as always, if you can beat him, and trust me, he's not someone who likes to be beaten, 5 times the amount is what he promises you. And I can tell you there's a couple of us in the studio who've already got our teams. We've not yet got Zaheer Khan addicted to it at the moment. He's giving a lot of advice from the sidelines, as you tend to do. But Robin Uthappa is taking me on head-to-head.
Yes,
you lost yesterday, today you're coming back hard.
I did. Not a great start for me, but I'm learning. This is something very new to me, so I'm seeking advice from all our members here in the studio as well.
Yeah, they're ganging up against me. Anyway, we'll leave that for the moment. But quick look at the Afghanistan lineup. unchanged, but let's again remind you, they played their first game against Australia. They performed far better than either Sri Lanka or Pakistan did, even though they came out second best. They were playing a top-class unit. They put more than 200 on the board. They'd still like to look back and say that, yes, 200 was decent, but we should have batted the 50 overs. Today they're going to be chasing runs, and I think they've ticked a few boxes, but one of them will be up top. Explosive opening pair.
On the whole, when you look at this team, you kind of get a feeling that they have a plan. You know, they always look like they're working towards something. You know, they might fall short, like, you know, like you're saying in the last game as well. You know, they should have played all 50 overs. Some partnerships in the middle overs could have been handy. They were looking to be too aggressive in that middle phase as well when the bouncers were coming at them. All those things are fine. You know, those are just the learning experiences. But on the whole, if you see, they're not looking rushed.
Yeah.
You know, in playing against Australia as well, the good thing which I noticed from Afghanistan was that approach was there. They were looking to play time. You know, even though they lost early wickets in Shahzad and Zazai, they still their Rahmat Shah is going to be the key player for them. You know, he really holds that aggression and sensible batting together. His numbers also suggest that. You know, he's been very consistent, and it's just that Nabi coming at number 5 for them is a bit too high number for Nabi. You know, if they get one more batsman who is as good as Rahmat Shah and putting these kind of numbers, I think that side will be a completely different side, and they will in time find that kind of option to go ahead with. But at the moment, they just have to figure out a way of getting to that 250, 270 on a day which is going to be little help for the spin bowling. 30 overs of high quality spin. I think, you know, their bowlers are really top quality bowlers at the international level, can trouble any sort of a position. It's just that they need that support. You know, so seam bowling today, looking at the wicket, they'll have to look for Gulbadin and Daulat to come up with the goods, provide those early breakthroughs, which really sets the tone, because, you know, Sri Lanka is low on confidence. You know, so when the team is low on confidence, you have to have those early inroads to put them on the back foot, to take them into that negative thinking zone, you know, where things just become a touch easier for you to penetrate through that low order and get them way below under par. I think, you know, that's something which Afghanistan will be hoping on these kind of wicket. I feel if they are able to restrict Sri Lanka anywhere around 220 to 250, they got a good chance.
Also, with Afghanistan chasing, they'll know that with a bit of rain around, there's forecast for showers around 12 o'clock local time, and they're pretty accurate. So those gentlemen by the names of Duckworth, Lewis and Stern will come into play, and that always supports the chasing side.
It does, but I don't think these are things that, you know, Sri Lanka or Afghanistan will be thinking about. Now, I think Afghanistan would be looking at, you know, getting off to a good start, looking to get wickets up front. I think they wouldn't start with Mujib. They'll actually start with 2 fast bowlers today. So I think that's what they look to do. I think the spinners would come in after the 10th or 15th over. But it would do them good if they can, you know, keep the medium pace or the fast bowlers going for as long as possible before bringing in Rashid and Nabi and Mujib. But I also hope for Sri Lanka's sake that Angelo Matthews bats a little more higher than where he's batting right now, because he's the mainstay that they need right now. You know, because after Mahela Jayawardene and Sangakkara, they've not had someone to really hold that batting order together.
And he has transformed from, because he's not bowling enough,
Yes.
he needs to play the role of that solid batsman in the middle order, and he's just not delivered.
Yes.
Okay, but that's fine. That's fine. We've fast forwarded there, and we're going to come to those figures, because obviously Rashid Khan's going to play a key role. Let's quickly stay on Matthews for a moment, because, you know, if you've talked about the fact that he hasn't really performed. Firstly, appeared in 49 or 86 ODIs for Sri Lanka, which is
we won't really know the truth about why he's appeared in only 49 games out of 86 for Sri Lanka. Is it injuries, or is it something else? You know, so we can't really judge on that, but I definitely think that his strike rate while batting in the ODIs, you know, and over the last couple of years is something that he could have probably improved on, because he has to be the guy that everyone looks up to and says, okay, here's the guy who's been playing for the last 10 years. He's been a mainstay in the side. He's done well for us in England before, and, you know, he needs to take up the onus and say, okay, what do I do now? As in, how do I lead this team as far as the batting is concerned? He's got great players within that side in the likes of Kaushal Pereira. They have Dimut Karunaratne, who's just come back but Tiramani is also there, who's been doing well for them. So these lads are guys who need to come together and say, okay, now with Mahela and Kumara gone, we need to put our hands up and say we're going to be the main batting mainstays within this side around who the whole team will revolve.
And we've seen it, even if you look at Test match cricket. I mean, for someone who's played in England and been an integral part of the time when they had that fabulous victory in England and in 2014. So Angelo Matthews was very much part of that setup, scoring runs, captain, bowling. So now, even though he may not be bowling, it means that he needs to say that, okay, fine, if that one feather is out of my cap, I need to be adding more in the batting department.
Well, it's been a curious case of Matthews, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because he's got all the goods. He's got everything to be a top-class international player, and he has proved it. It's not that he has not proved it. What was putting pressure on him also the fact that he was captain, and he was injury-prone as well.
Yeah,
so that number which we are just showing right now to our audience was basically 49 games out of 86 he's played. So those games which he has missed, he was around that time leading the side as well, and that doesn't really help. When you are looking to build a culture, when you're looking to build that side, you need to be playing most of the games, and that's something which you've seen with MS Dhoni as well. He's hardly missed any matches. With Angelo Matthews, I think that transition has never really happened. And when Mahela and Sangha were saying bye to cricket, at that stage it was important that someone puts the hand up. Someone shows that direction to the new team, and really transforms that culture what they had earlier. Because if you look at Sri Lanka cricket's graph, it has actually gone down. They've been very consistent in the last decade or so, but lately the numbers are not doing justice to what the kind of talent which they have.
And that's the graph we're talking about. I mean, look at that losing streak since July 2018, irrespective of what conditions you're playing in. South Africa, of course, tough conditions, but those were played in Sri Lanka. Then they went to South Africa and lost 5-0. Of course, they won't want to look at the ODIs. They want to focus on what happened in the Test. But different conditions, losing streak.
But also, if you look at the team has not been stabilized.
Yeah.
If you look at the number of players who have represented the country in last 3 years, the number is ridiculous. I think some 60, 70 players have new players
and
have
7
have
captains.
played.
And that breeds insecurity. That's not good for any form of cricket. When you're changing and chopping and changing so many players around, you're going to breed insecurity, and that's not going to make anyone go out there and stand up and say, okay, you need your board also to be inclusive about the fact that you can't have too many players. You need to stick to a bunch and then say, okay, give them a long run and say, okay, let's give these guys a long run. See what they actually do. Make 1 or 2 changes in between, but predominantly you want to have the 20 guys within that group, and you stay within those 20 guys.
So now in this squad, I feel that Angelo Matthews needs to take that responsibility, because you have a young captain now, and to help him around, the captaincy burden, the pressure is not there on Angelo. He can't be batting at number 6. He has to bat at that number 4 position.
Yes, that would be ideal.
Just glue the whole thing together. Help the guy who is batting with him and take the team through. So he has a different role to play now, and that's something which he has to put his hand up and show the way. And minus the captaincy pressure, minus the pressure of making sure that he's bowling those overs, because he was stuck in that and he couldn't really take that step earlier. So this is an opportunity for him now, for Sri Lanka to have a good World Cup campaign. I think it's important that Angelo comes to the party as early as possible.
Yeah.
Certainly does. But on the other side, very different. They've got a settled unit, players who obviously know their place and know better than Rashid Khan. He's so influential that he actually manages to get our folks in the edit room. When we're talking about Angelo Matthews, he sneaks his numbers in there. That's the influence of Rashid Khan. That wasn't a mistake, I can tell you. We're always talking about Rashid Khan. But he's been a feature more than once on our special Cricbuzz Unplugged episodes. I had the pleasure of doing it last year when I actually faced him inside a gym. And then Harsha went and spoke to him later on, much more stable, sat in one place, talked, and he had some great insights. Let's take a little peep.
How do you handle pressure? I mean, in the game against Rajasthan Royals, clearly you were brought on because Joss Butler is a threat at the top of the order. So you're brought on specifically to get the opposition batsman. Now, do you think, oops, I'm under pressure, I have to do this, I have to deliver?
I think when it's pressure, time comes, I always make movie in my mind. That is very important thing for me. Since I have been playing cricket, I always make, before the game, I make a movie in my mind. When the captain told me that you need to come and bowl from this end in the next hour, I made a movie in my mind that, bowling to Butler, I get him bowled out and something like that, leg before, I slip. That's how I got him. If I had this thing in the mind that, oh, if he hit me there, I think automatically he would have hit me. So that movie really helps me. I make myself a hero in that, and I says, look, I need to bowl it there, and that will turn like this, turn like this. If I bowl wrong one here, that's how it happens when I bowl it in the wicket. I think the same case happened in the batting as well in the last game. Before coming to the wicket, I was fed up and I was just looking and having something that how good it would be if I had the winning shot on 6, and that is like a helicopter shot. Yeah. Believe me, that was happening in my mind. I was repeating those things in my mind that I will hit this if I get this opportunity to go there and play there. So that's how it happens. So I think when the pressure comes, I always trying my best to make a movie in my mind and release my pressure and make a best movie for myself, which gives me it makes me happy and which makes me to perform well.
Oh, he's a character. Any producers, directors who are listening out there, you've got a potential star as and when you can get the ball out of his hand.
It's beautiful, isn't it? I think he puts it so simply. He's basically talking about visualization and the power of that, and to be able to do that just before going into bowl or just before going in a bat, I think takes a lot of mental capacity, and the fact that he's talking about it and so confidently talking about it says that he's got that space in his mind to actually create that little movie or create that little piece of visualization and go out there and execute it, which is great. I think most great players actually do that. Virat Kohli talks about the power of visualization, and I think you look at all the guys who've done really well and who've consistently done really well have the ability to actually do that, create that little movie in their head as to see how things go their way. And even when you're in bad form, you generally subliminally make a movie where things don't go your way, and you're out of that fear of not doing well or being out of form, you create those movies in your head, and it's just beautiful. I think for all the youngsters listening out there, this is guys who want to play at the next level. This is a great thing to actually have.
Zaheer, I'm sure you have a few movies you visualize now, but when you were in your playing days, was there any kind of different sort of visualization you did, particularly maybe bowling on a flat track in Sri Lanka?
No, I mean, look, everyone wants to be a superhero.
Yeah.
So that's something which always works. Rashid has put it nicely in terms of the looking at the situation and having courage to face that situation. When you think like this, I mean, what he was trying to sum it up was that if you embrace the situation, if you have the courage to embrace the situation, things look easy.
Yeah.
And you feel at home, you feel calm. So, and if you are calm, then you more often than not, you will do the right thing. You will take the right call. So that is something which was very important. Personally, for me, visualization was to focus on my positives. I'll always just see that me bowling those areas, me getting that swing. Or if I have to bowl to a particular batsman, just focus on the batsman's weakness and how I'm gonna penetrate that weakness. So you keep it simple, keep it in your control, and keep it positive.
I just remembered how Zach Baez got me out in the first class cricket a lot. So I was thinking, he knows what my weaknesses are, and come and do that.
But in terms of Rashid Khan, I mean, you've faced a bit of him.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, he's got his skills, the googlies, the leggies. But do you somehow get that other side of him when you're facing him as a batsman? Do you see, oh my God, he's out trying to outthink me as well?
Well, more than outthink you, you know that he's an extremely confident bowler. You know that he's going to come at you the whole time. And I think the best form of defense is to attack, sometimes especially against certain bowlers. So I think when you take the attack to him, he gets on a little bit defensive, and then that's when you have a trump card over him. So I think the best way to approach batting to Rashid is to be a little more aggressive towards him.
Impressive. I mean, we often think of him as a T20 specialist and great in that. But look at that, fastest to 100 wickets in ODIs, 44 ODIs in 2,181 balls, youngest to 100, best bowling average in ODIs. That's phenomenal, 15.63.
See, so far, all the matches which Afghanistan has won, clearly he's had a huge role to play. And how Afghanistan have been using Rashid in 50-over format is typically not using him till about 25, 30 overs. I think in Asia Cup they had that kind of approach.
Absolutely. Even the other day against Australia, they waited
and
a lot.
Other bowlers used to just kind of stack up those overs, get that required run rate up by the time Rashid comes on to bowl. That's how they've been using him. But in this World Cup, under these conditions, I think they need to change that approach.
For
because
sure.
you've seen with Mujib, these conditions, bowling an off spinner, the mystery spinner to start with, may not be that great an idea.
Yeah.
So that's something which they have to alter the thinking. They have to bring in Rashid as early as possible and create that damage up front, and then later on take Mujib's help. Even in the death overs, he'll be.
I think bring Mujib back after he gets if Rashid gets a couple
start
of
with
wickets.
two traditional way, two seamers, and then get Rashid as early as possible to create that early dent.
Right. Well, we've got to wrap up very quickly. So what we'll do is let's get our joy factor question in. Like Rashid Khan, he likes to throw in a few googlies, but I can tell you this one is something that's a bit close to my heart, because I remember sitting and creating a question for this with Joy. But that's the only clue I'm giving. That's not really a clue, is it? So come on, let's have a look at the question for today. And this is it. Travis Dowlin, a West Indian batsman, 11 ODIs, only test century against Bangladesh. But for what specific reason is he remembered in India? If you two gentlemen know it, don't give any hints.
I have no idea.
Good. One I
Neither
would
do
get
I.
out there.
I feel like I'm listening to this name for the first time.
Oh, excellent. So that means these two gentlemen are not going to give you any hints. The only hints you need to give us to finish the show is now that we know who's batting first. And we haven't done too well for the My 11 Circle Expert Couch, which of course comes for that prediction.
Hey, we
plus
did.
minus
Yeah,
15.
yesterday was a pretty good day. Zach got it right. He called it. He said that the 50th over the game would get over, and then he was bang on.
Yep.
Yeah. And even the runs in the first innings, we were pretty close.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he missed it. Gaurav had 325, so he just went over. The last 4 from Shadab Khan cost him the couch.
Yes, it did.
All right, so what's your prediction for today?
Prediction for today, I'm going to go on the lower side for sure. There's enough help in the wicket for the bowlers by the looks of it. So I'm just going 240.
240. Okay, I'll go to 225.
225. Oh, that's the kind of area I was looking to go. How good can Afghanistan be? Can Sri Lanka make a comeback? No, let me take Afghanistan's side on this one. I've got a lot of stick for what I did against Bangladesh. They're still coming in. They are still coming in. All the barracks are coming towards me. I'm not sure when I'm visiting Sri Lanka next, but I'm sure, is that visa on arrival in Sri Lanka?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, so it's visa on arrival, so I don't care about that. So I can offend a few Sri Lankans, a lot of friends I have out there, so I'm going to go on the lower side for them and go 208 for Sri Lanka. Afghanistan bowlers on fire, Hamid Hassan and company. We'll be back in the 15th over with Cricbuzz Combos. For now, My 11 Circle presents Cricbuzz Live. We'll see you at the halfway stage as well.